Is it possible to burn 3,500 calories without losing your mind? What's the best split between diet and exercise to accomplish this quickly and yet sustainably? And what should you expect in the first few weeks versus 3 to 4 months in? By the end of this episode, you'll have the answers to all of these questions. Welcome to the next episode of Flat Stomach, Scam versus the Real Way to Lose Belly Fat series. If you want to know when the next episode drops, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit that bell icon. Hi Viva fam, this is Richa from CoachViva.com. Let's go.
Why are people so fixated on 3,500 calories? Well, because 3,500 calories is equivalent of burning off 1 pound of fat. And a steady rate of fat loss for most people is 1 pound a week. Now, if you don't have a lot of fat to lose, like say you are a relatively short female and you're in your last 5 to 10 pound range, then 1 pound of fat is actually considered really intense, and you might expect more of something like 0.5 pound a week. What does that look like on a daily basis? That equates to about 500 calories a day. So in order to lose 1 pound of fat a week, you want to put yourself in a 500 calorie deficit. Now, you don't have to shoot for a 500 calorie deficit every day if you don't want to or your schedule doesn't permit that, and we'll talk more about calorie cycling later on. For now, know that there are 3 ways to create a calorie deficit. 1, eat less. 2, move more. Or 3, both. Now, for most people, this will be a combination of the eat less and move more approach, with mostly being the eating less part of the equation. We elaborate on this way more in our video on why diet is 80% of your weight loss, and I'll link that video in the description below. But right now, the gist is simply that it's easier to cut calories by eating less food or by eating less foods that are high calorie than by trying to exercise and outburn your way to your goal. Now, in order to pick the best split between how much you should be eating less or how much you should be moving more of, I'll tell you how to do that, but you first need to figure out your maintenance calories or your TDEE. If you don't know what yours are, I've included a link to a calculator in the description below. Alright, now I'm going to show you guidelines for how to create that 3,500 calorie a week deficit in a quick but still sustainable manner. Now note, these guidelines are starting points. You can absolutely tweak it to fit your own personal preference, and I'll give examples on how to do that as well. First, if your TDEE is greater or equal to 1,700 for women and greater than equal to 2,000 for men, then you are safe to just cut 500 calories per day out of your daily calorie intake. So for instance, if you're a woman and your TDEE is 1,800, then you can start by shooting for 1,300 calories a day. Why do we set these 1,700 and 2,000 calorie bars for men and women? It's because from our experience, it's really hard for a woman to eat less than 1,200 calories a day, or for a man to eat less than 1,500 calories a day in the long term. They might be able to do it for 1 to 2 weeks, but the rebound rate is really high. Also, if you go too low too drastically, your body can rev down your metabolism because it thinks you're not eating enough calories. So from a practicality perspective, the vast majority of people can't stick to that low of a budget. That doesn't mean you can't eat less than 1,200 calories if you really want to, but we found that it's not associated with long-term success or emotional well-being. Okay, so what if your TDEE is less than 1,700 calories for women and 2,000 calories for men? In this case, you want to start by eating the minimum, which is 1,200 calories for women and 1,500 calories for men, and then create the rest of that 500 calorie a day or 3,500 calorie a week deficit from exercise. How much exercise should you do? For women, you want to use this formula: 500 minus whatever is the difference between your TDEE and 1,200 calories, and then multiply that by 7. That is the number of calories that you want to burn from activity throughout the week. For men, that formula is 500 minus the difference of your TDEE from 1,500 calories, and then multiply that by 7. So for example, my maintenance calories is 1,500 these days, and if I want to lose 1 pound of fat a week, I need to create a 500 calorie deficit per day on average. But if I do that solely with food, then I'm left with only 1,000 calories a day to eat, and I am not going to do that. So I'll start with 1,200 calories a day, which is something I can do, and aim to burn 1,400 calories a week. Now we'll cover how to find the right exercises to burn your target number of calories that you want to burn a week later on in this episode. But remember what I said before about tweaking your plan to fit you as you go? Like, wait, what if this plan doesn't work for me? 1,200 calories is way too low. Like, especially on weekends, I want to go out and hang out. Okay, if this is me, then I may try something called calorie cycling. In practice, it could be eating 1,200 calories Monday through Friday, and then giving myself more, like eating 1,500 calories on Saturday and Sunday. That means I'm gonna have to burn more calories from exercise. So here are the equations to help you figure out how to calculate that. This means my total calorie intake will be 9,000 calories a week. Now, my weekly maintenance calories are 10,500 calories. That means now, instead of burning 1,400 calories a week, I need to burn 2,000 calories a week in exercise. Here's the formula for those calculations that I just did. So if you want to do something like calorie cycling, use this to adjust your plan. And okay, now personally, that is a lot of exercise for me, which is why I don't usually aim for 1 pound a week weight loss. But if you really want to lose 1 pound of fat a week, that's the kind of steps that you'll have to take. Now, let's talk about how to actually use exercise to create that final calorie deficit once you're unable to reduce your calories any lower.
Okay, so if you have seen some of our other episodes, especially the one about which exercises burn the most fat, you know that the form of exercise we recommend to burn the most calories over the long term is strength training. This is not because strength training causes you to burn the most calories while you're strength training, but it helps you build muscle, and muscle burns up to 250% more calories at rest than fat. This is why someone might weigh the same amount of weight as you, but have a higher TDE because they have more muscle. More muscle to fat means a lower body fat percentage. However, since it's complicated to figure out how many calories you're burning with strength training, especially over the long term, and it really depends on how much muscle you're gaining, we're not going to cover that in this video. If this is something you'd like us to cover, tell us in the comments below. For this reason, we'll focus only on the short-term calorie burn from cardio. There are a lot of calculators online that tell you how many calories you burn per exercise. I've linked to one in the description below. Now, other than low-grade activities like walking, it is not recommended that you work out 7 days a week. So I recommend taking off at least 1 day a week. So going back to Lucy's example, if she needs to burn 1,400 calories per day from exercise and wants to do the least intense activity, even if it means doing it more frequently, then she can split her workout into 6 days. So 1,400 divided by 6 equals 233 calories burned per day. She likes running, and her usual pace is 10 to 12 minute miles, depending on how long she's running for, so we'll use 12 minutes to stay conservative. So using the calculator, she'll look and see how many minutes of running will burn her at least 233 calories per workout. Now, it looks like 32 minutes will do the trick, but most calculators and even fitness trackers with heart rate monitors will overestimate the amount of calories you burn during exercise. So as a precaution, I recommend trying to burn 10% more than what your target says on paper, which means she'll try to shoot for 256 calories instead, and therefore she'll be doing 35 minutes of running 6 days a week. I don't know about you, but I don't have the time and energy to run for 6 days a week, so I might opt for working out only 3 days a week, which means I'll aim to burn 1,400 divided by 3 equals 467 calories per workout. Adding the 10% buffer, this comes out to 514 calories per workout instead. According to the calculator, I'd have to run 1 hour and 10 minutes each workout. That's a long time to be running. If you want to try to burn as much calories in a shorter workout session, aim for intense workouts. The more a workout involves fast movements and jumping around, the more intense it will be. So let's try something intense like kickboxing. Looks like 55 minutes of kickboxing will get us close to the target, so I'll be doing that for 3 days a week. Note that if you're a heavier person, you'll burn more calories than a lighter person. This is why a lot of exercise videos claim to burn thousands of calories when it actually just applies to heavier men. We're working on our own calculator to help you figure out your own diet and exercise plan based on where you're at and what are your goals. If you want to be notified when it's available, go ahead and join the waitlist in the link in the description below. And lastly, a warning that more exercise can cause you to feel hungrier, and that may make sticking to your food goals harder. Remember, do what you can stick with. Experiment and tweak what works for you. If working out 6 days a week is too much for you, try a more intense exercise and do it fewer times during the week. If no matter what you do, it feels unsustainable, then make your weight loss goals a little easier. Maybe just shoot for a half to a quarter pound weight loss per week instead of 1 pound per week. It's okay to go slower as long as you're making consistent, sustainable progress.
We say this a lot, but it's super important for you to understand that weight loss does not equal fat loss. Your weight loss will not be linear, and there will be a lot of water fluctuations throughout your journey. If you are a menstruating woman, you will likely see weight gain around or during your period. And you will see yourself maintain your weight or maybe even gain weight even though you are actually still losing fat. So if you really put yourself in a 3,500 calorie week over week, expect that you will lose 1 pound of fat every week, but don't expect to see that you'll lose 1 pound of weight every single week. There's also the whoosh effect, which is what happens when your body's fat cells fill up with water even though it's dropping the fat. So it makes it seem like you're not losing progress because the weight is still there. The weight is just coming from water now. However, what happens is after a few days, the fat cell that's full of water will suddenly release all of that water, and that is what's known as the whoosh effect. And that is also why some people find that they're the same weight for a week or two, and then suddenly they just drop a lot of weight in one day. So if you see no change in your weight for 2 weeks, and then the next week you drop 2 pounds, that doesn't mean you didn't lose any fat the first week and then you lost 2 pounds of fat the second week. You probably lost about 1 pound of fat per week. And this is why I always recommend that people look for at least a 2-week trend before they decide something's not working or change something. Me personally, I wait for at least 3 weeks. I know, it's long. Weight loss is really a patience game. Also, your rate of weight loss will naturally change over time because your body is an adapting machine. You will first almost certainly see more weight loss at the beginning, like the first 1 to 2 weeks. Your body is going to be losing a lot of water, so you might see more than 1 pound of weight loss that first. But then after that, it's going to slow down and you will see a more of a steady 1 pound a week weight loss rate. And this can happen for 1 to 2 reasons. The first reason is that your TDEE naturally went down as you're losing weight. And the second reason is your metabolism might have slowed down. And this can happen if you've been consistently losing weight for about 3 or 4 months. In the first case, just double check your TDEE at your new weight and see if it's gone down. If it's gone down and you realize you're actually eating at maintenance or close to maintenance now, then you're no longer in that 500 calorie deficit anymore. You just need to adjust your plan, go back to what we talked about before and put yourself in that 500 calorie deficit again. If it's the second case, that means your body is trying to conserve as much energy as possible by slowing down your metabolism. It's like you've been in a deficit for so long that your body is afraid that it might run out of food soon, and so it's trying to hoard as much calories as possible rather than burning them. If you're feeling consistently low energy, or your exercise performance is suffering, or you're not sleeping well, then that might be a sign that you're ready for a metabolic reset. By doing this, you're letting your body know that it's okay, there's still food, and it's not going to be freaking out thinking that there's going to be starvation coming. It will then be much more likely to rev up your metabolism again so that the next time you put yourself in a deficit, you'll be able to lose weight at the normal pace again. Note that during your maintenance or reset week, you will gain weight, but it's just water weight and it's temporary, and you'll drop off again as soon as you go back into a deficit. Hope this helps. Please let us know in the comments below if we missed something or you have a question that wasn't addressed, and we'll make sure to cover it in one of our future videos. Thanks.
Hey there, if you want to know when the next episode of Flat Stomach Scam and the real way to lose belly fat drops, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit that bell icon. Until then, keep crushing it.